Hi everybody, and welcome to your Garden Engaged first official tour here at our new farm in King George, Virginia. We're super excited to finally be here living in this space. So we have a lot of unpacking to do, a lot of infrastructure that we want to build outside, but we couldn't wait to bring you guys a little sneak peek so that you could at least see where our new home is. After the last, 4.5 years of living in Prince George's County, Maryland, we have come across the river across the Potomac River, I should say, into Virginia, Virginia's northern neck, and we are absolutely loving the property here. We are now sitting on 27 acres, just about. We have 2 incredibly large barns that we can utilize that are already in place, ready for us to start filling up with either livestock, feed, whatever we need. A couple of other outbuildings that are here on the property as well, and a creek also too that borders the corner of our property, allowing us to tap into that wonderful natural resource.
Before we kind of walk the property, we wanted to just bring you up to speed how we got here, and we moved up into DMV area from Florida about 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
8 years ago, and how we got here to the 27 acres farm. Kevin is an amazing storyteller, and he's always great at explaining things. So he's gonna do this part, and I will after that I will give you a full tour of the farm. So.
And Dragon is always great at telling people I'm a better storyteller than he is, when we all know that that's not really true. But how we got here is Dragon, for those of you who don't know, is from Eastern Europe. He was born and raised in Croatia. I'm from a smaller town in north central Florida. So while Dragon grew up on a farm and has more extensive working hands-on knowledge with animals than I do, I did grow up having to put my hands in dirt and do a lot of manual labor, as my dad owned and still owns a lawn service business. So neither of us are strangers to hard work. Dragon mentioned the DMV earlier. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States, that stands for the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. Not the place where you go to get your driver's license, which is what most of us tend to associate the DMV with. But here we are. We moved up to this region, the Mid-Atlantic region, DC specifically, back in 2013, and spent 3 years there, transitioned to Maryland where we bought our first home together, and kind of our shared interest in gardening began to develop and seed and grow there. And over that time, Garden Engaged kind of blossomed, and we started our YouTube channel, we started our Instagram page, we started our Facebook page, which a lot of you clearly are watching this now on one of those platforms, so we appreciate your support. And we just kind of got to the point within the last 2 years, and the pandemic really kind of pushing us a little bit forward to really reach for our dreams and wanting to expand something that we were already doing, already loving, and wanted to do on definitely a larger scale. So we started the process a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, doing lots of research about places to go, to buy a farm based on the things that we wanted to do and the lifestyle we wanted to live.
And the budget.
And budget as well too.
Budget was huge part of this. DC area is quite expensive, and buying anything in we were looking for, first we started 5 to 10 acres, and wanted to see what that would look like, and even that space here in DC we were looking at closer to $1 million, and that was just way out of our range, and we were definitely not even dreaming about owning a place here in this area. We would love it. We set our roots here. We've been here already 7 years prior to finding this, and we even though we didn't want to leave the area, we wanted to explore the other areas, and we ventured out all the way up to New Hampshire last October. Last October, we drove up 95 corridor. We drove through Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and went some farm seeing up in New Hampshire area, and even though we love the area, we just never felt like home there.
Yeah, and a big part of that, it's interesting that we, talking to our friends throughout this process, there were those that are close to us that scratched their heads about why we were making this move and this leap. Because I think to a lot of people, seeing Dragon and I living in the so close to the District of Columbia, our home in Maryland is 20 minutes from the U.S. Capitol, and a lot of our friends live in smaller communities, smaller rural towns, and they are aspiring to be where we are now. And so to them, it's like, why would we want to leave that when that seems to be the Mecca and where everybody was trying to go? But you have to understand what your own personal dreams and goals are. And we as a family unit, we've been there, we've done that, we've enjoyed the time that we had, the friends that we've developed, the family that we've created with all of our extended friends there. But for us, it was time to move on to the next level. And as Dragon mentioned, exploring other places and other regions, it never kind of felt quite like home because we really wanted to do our best to stay as close to the DC, Maryland, Virginia region as possible. And here we are now sitting in what's considered Virginia's northern neck. So it's not far. I mean, to still kind of to get to the White House and to Capitol Hill, maybe about an hour and a half drive, depending on how traffic is. So we aren't far. You know, I like to tell people who still say, oh, you guys moved so far away, that we were considering much further away. So to us, this is relatively close and definitely a win for us. And we feel like once we kind of get set up here, I tell everybody, if you're willing to make that drive, we promise you it's going to be worth it because it is just gorgeous out here. It was hard for us to find a home and also a piece of property that matched each other during our search.
Infrastructure, just infrastructure is so important nowadays with COVID, and you know, all the construction materials, just prices are through the roof. Just having any infrastructure, finding anything that has a decent amount of infrastructure on was just a huge challenge. When we were while we were looking for the property, there was, you know, a certain amount of clear land that we wanted to do that was ready to be used. There's, you know, we still wanted a decent livable house to have. We still wanted to have some woods also to you know, for trails, even to cut our own woods. And the huge thing was having water access and having a creek on the property, and just matching all of those again close to DC area was just a huge challenge. But when did we find this property?
Oh, it was end of July, August?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were on Zillow, Redfin, all of those you know, real estate apps, trying to find with notifications of properties popping up, and this property popped up, and it was on the market for probably, I don't know, a couple of weeks, and then it went under contract, and I still kept it in my favorites for some reason. And I want to say a month later it popped back up, and while we were struggling with our search elsewhere, Kevin and I decided, even though it was way on top of our budget for the farm, we decided to take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, and the crazy thing about the day that we came here is we had lined up maybe 3 or 4 other properties, and Dragon had 3 days off in a row, which was rare for him as the general manager of a restaurant in Annapolis, Maryland's capital. And we had planned to potentially get a little bit out of the area and go exploring some places. And then when this popped up, we decided to add a bunch of places to the list that were near this farm. And our realtor and friend, Lamar, we gave him that list, and this was the first place we came to that day. We stayed here longer than we expected and decided to cross off pretty much every other house that we had on the list that day, because we knew we wanted to get home as soon as possible to start working on an offer for this place. And it moved fast. I mean, we closed in 45 days. which I think is, I don't know how other people's experiences are, but our first time around, we had so many major issues. So for everything to have gone as smoothly as it did with this process, it was just absolute. It was just completely a blessing, and we're so happy and thrilled, and we don't take any of this for granted.
And don't get me wrong, this was not a quick find. Yeah, this process definitely took a year and a half. Like I mentioned earlier, we went other states. We went to even crossed the bridge on the other side to Delaware and looked at the places there. Up to Pennsylvania, looked at the places there. It's been a long journey. We've seen quite a few farms with real estate agent and without. We would just pick a couple of farms in a state next to us here in Pennsylvania and drive by them and just to see how do they feel. Does the town feel like home? And that was huge to us. That you have that feeling for whoever bought a house ever. You just have that feeling when you know that just the entire place feels like home. When you know what I mean?
I know it. I know exactly what you mean. The other day when we were loading in stuff here, I was telling Dragon that the more that we start to bring in our own furniture and our own pictures and everything into the farmhouse here, that it feels like this house was built and created for us. Like it's just so weird how you have that feeling, and when you feel the universe kind of rising up and pushing you in the direction that you're wanting to go and stepping out on faith, just trust that process and go with it. I mean, I always say nobody ever pursued their dreams and regretted it. It's always the people who don't step out on faith and go forward. And it doesn't matter what other people are saying or what other people are scratching their head about your decisions, because you're not doing this for them. The only person, I always say, even just in general in relationships or whatever it is, that what matters the most is the conversations that those two people have when their head hits the same pillow at night. And that's how we live our life. And that's how we have managed to step out and live our dream here and begin this process. It's the first chapter of kind of something big and something we're looking forward to over the next decade or more to come.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like farm is nowhere near perfect. It needs definitely lots of work, lots of hard work. Those first 2 years are going to be, blood, sweat, and tears, definitely. And we know that. We knew that going into this property, but we're ready for it. We wanted this challenge, and we are so ready for it. So
yeah, I mean, I think anybody who knows Dragon and I know that we like to do things ourselves, and we're very hands-on with what we do. We're no strangers, or we're not shy about doing hard work. Those who have visited our home in Maryland and seen the garden space that we've done there, and to find out that all of that stuff was done with these two sets of hands, his and mine.
And these two.
Trinity. And kind of during the pandemic, as we began to progress a little bit further and had more time to explore and to think through what the next phase and chapters of our life look like together, I began to refer to that home as our laboratory, because it really felt like it was setting us up and giving us that test and that trial run to put our hands into little different things and to say, okay, we're ready now. Like, this is, all of this happened for a reason, and now it's time for us to execute what our next plan is.
Yeah, pandemic definitely opened our eyes on what do we want to do with our lives from now on. From the beginning of the pandemic, going into grocery stores and seeing empty refrigerators, empty shelves, like everything is empty. Our food system was completely shattered within weeks.
And it still hasn't recovered.
Within weeks, and it was just mind blowing that as a strong country as we are, still we are vulnerable to a little tiny virus, unfortunately. But just a small thing like that was just completely shattered us, and like Kevin said, we are still in nowhere near end of this thing, and we set our priorities and we set our goals, and realize that we are, like Kevin said, we're both hands-on. We don't mind growing our own food and having. Are we looking to be completely 100% off grid? No, we're not. But we can definitely help and find a way to not to depend on a grocery store every single day. So
Yeah. Well, I guess with all of that said, now that we've given you a little bit of background on how and why we're here, we're going to switch into tour mode, and
take a look around.
yeah, Dragon is gonna.
We don't have a drone yet, so I was looking into finding some drones so we can do some drone footage. But we're gonna do best as we can and walk around to show you the property.
Yeah, and we, also too, we're hoping that everyone sticks around as we document our entire process, because we will be just as thrilled to look back on this a year from now and see how far and how different things are. So, thank you, and
come along, come along for the ride.
Here comes the tour.
So here we are, and welcome to Gardening Gates Farm. So let me show you around. Entrance to the property, we are located right off of main major highway. That's one of our big things. That when we were looking for the property, we did not want to be out in the boonies and completely off the grid. We wanted to have easy access to civilization, for lack of a better word. So that's a great plus. Also for our future plans, having access to a major road is definitely going to be beneficial for us. So like we mentioned earlier, property is just shy of 27 acres. Approximately 20 to 22 are cleared, and about 5 to 7 are in the woods. So let me show you around. House is right here. There are two parts of the house. The original house was built in the early 1930s, if I'm not mistaken, which is the siding covered house, and the brick portion was built in 1980s, totaling about almost just shy of 3,000 square feet. We are really happy with the space that we got for it. House is looking at our big pasture that is probably approximately, I would say, between about 12 acres. That's our closest neighbor right over there. His family used to own this entire farm. It's a couple hundred acres. I believe they bought the farm in some mid 1800s. We love listening to his stories about the farm, about his family and everything. He was generous enough to cut this field here for hay, and he collected about 20 bales of hay and helped us out clear the field, which was really great for us. Entire property is fenced, so property stretch is kind of, if you can pan out, just follow the fence line all the way to their house, and then kind of following the tree line all the way down in the back. Everything is fenced in. Some of it is wooded fence, some of it is T posts and wire fencing. Come around this way. This entrance driveway kind of leads you towards the back of the house and the barn. It's a beautiful line of pine trees that provide shade most of the day, which is really nice. We are potentially looking to plant some hydrangea trees, plants along the fence to further beautify that area. So driveway kind of curves around. We sprayed some Roundup on the driveway because it was completely overgrown. It's actually a gravel driveway, but it was completely overgrown in the weeds. I even tested a little bit how to burn the weeds down, but we'll find a good way to get rid of that and maybe put some fresh gravel on it. Again, if you don't mind turning around and showing to this side of the house, it's a beautiful big chimney. Unfortunately, previous owners had the trees planted in front of each window, so it's kind of blocking the view of beautiful property. We are looking to cut down all of these trees and have the shrubs and bushes that are no taller than the bottom of the window, and so we can enjoy the view of the beautiful property. I'm potentially debating on having a spruce tree here that we can decorate right in front of the chimney here, that we can decorate for Christmas and light it up, which would be really, really beautiful. So let's take a look at this. So let's pan out on the two barns. Property came with two big barns. One barn is I believe 100 by 50, and the other one is 50 by 150. The smaller barn is completely enclosed, and big barn is partially enclosed. We have really, really big plans. We're gonna walk both barns so we can take a look around first, but let's take a look at the big pasture first. All these fields are full of crickets. As you can see, I'm just flying around. I can't wait for our chickens to get a little bit bigger and clean these crickets away. Free protein for the chicken. Add-on meat to a chicken salad bar, definitely. Entrance to a big barn. Previous owner used this barn mostly as a mechanic shop and repair barn for the stuff that they had a construction business or something like that. But this pasture just opens up to a beautiful field. We have water access here too. There are 6 of these, I believe, throughout the property. Well water throughout the property, which is great. Another little cricket. So this field mostly is going to remain probably pasture. Well, we're looking to potentially raise pasture chicken, pasture ducks, lambs down the road, and pastured pigs. Most of this will probably remain as a pasture. Probably this part here will be our gardening and market garden. We're potentially looking to maybe have a flower garden where you can pick your own flowers and stuff like that. So we have some big plans, but it's definitely plenty of space to do whatever we desire to do. Some of it is overgrown and wasn't maintained, but I think it's all of it. It's in a pretty good shape. So this is the big pasture, and then we have another smaller pasture in the back here. That is Trinity. Let's go. Come on, Mama. The smaller pasture here in the back was completely overgrown. I've posted a little story video when our neighbor came over with a bush hog and completely trimmed it down. I'm gonna see if I can add that video to this. but the weeds there were between 10 to 12 feet tall. It was just insane. I was afraid what we're gonna find once he cuts it down, how bad it's gonna look, but it's actually beautiful. This one is also fenced in, ready for electric fencing, just to be basically plug and play. You can just plug in electricity to it. Our plans for now, as of today, for this pasture here is to have the orchard here with the fruit trees. It's probably about 2-3 acres total. Proximity to the house, it's fairly close. It's about 100 feet or so. Debating on these big trees here where the tree house is, keeping those trees or not. I would love down the road to have a big pergola with a very large dining table where we can have huge outdoor dinners and family dinners and stuff like that. So that's down the road plans, probably 5 years from now. But let's take a look around the house so we can see the immediate property next to the house. House well is right there. We never asked how deep is the well, but free water is always beneficial. Propane for the house, propane tank is right there next to the house. House has heated floors throughout. That was one of the huge selling points for us too, definitely. And this is our kind of a backyard. For now, we have our little chicks. You've seen them in our Instagram posts. These are our chicks. These are the only animals for now. Our only farm animals for now. We have about 30 chicks. Since you have to wait about 5 to 6 months to get the fresh eggs from a chick. So this should give us, they should give us eggs in early spring of next year, and we're really looking forward to it. They're really enjoying the outdoor. We try to keep them for a couple of hours every day. We haven't built a tractor yet, so tractor is coming up, and potentially this is going to be their chicken coop until we get the pasture thing going. Mostly flat backyard back here and cleared. Kevin and I cannot wait to add our touch with some plants and beautify it a little bit. But for now, this is going to be a chicken yard. We are looking to fence in probably around the coop, this garage here or shed, around the shed, just outside of these trees to the corner of our house there. And then along the property line here to that electrical pole and the corner right there where the AC's units are. So it's gonna give us a nice chicken run here just to begin with for next year or so, where we can have our chickens for the eggs and potentially for meat. Let's take a look at the barns now so we can, which one do you want to do first, Kevin? You want to do small or big barn? Let's do big barn first, I would say. All right, welcome to the big barn. This barn needs a lot of work, but has some huge potentials. Like I mentioned earlier, it is 50 feet wide by 150 feet long. Gravel floors for now. Our big plans for this barn is definitely closing it in, all walls, closing it in, and using it as our animal barn. I can definitely see this half of the barn having place for sheep, place for even pigs in the winter, chickens down, and ducks at the end. And the right side of the barn here potentially as a storage area for hay bales and stuff like that. Previous owner was generous enough to leave us most of this wood, which we are very grateful for it. There's plenty of building material for tractors, chicken coops, and all other kinds of stuff. Somewhat good, somewhat bad, but we are definitely grateful for having all this. Potential is definitely, as you can see, is huge. Down the road, I would eventually love to pour the concrete floor on this one as well, but that's going to be probably a long-term goal in 5-year range. There are some storages and shelf storages built in these as well, which is pretty good. You know, there's light in this one. There's no light in this one. No, there's no light in this one. Can't really see. On this side here, another little storage or a garage, great for lawn equipment. Here, plenty of space, definitely. And back inside. More of the stuff that we're going to have to get rid of, but we didn't mind. We don't mind. Like I said, I would potentially love to have maybe some, I'm looking into some clear plastic on top so you can take advantage of the, sunlight and daylight, so you can get nice lighting and maybe galvanized roofing panels on the bottom, or we can build the doors and stuff. So really looking forward to renovating this completely. But the inside structure is very good. Looks fairly new. I think it's built within the last 10 years or so. Yeah, outside walls are a little scrappy, but inside definitely looks completely solid. There's electricity in it, and there is water access at each end. On this side, it takes you out to the other side of the DKG orchard that we were talking about earlier. This field kind of expands, the orchard field kind of expands to this corner. And this gate and that other gate kind of takes you down towards the creek, which we'll check it out later. But first, let's take a look at the small barn. Have a key for the back door too, or no, Kevin? No. There's gravel driveway in between the barns, which is also really nice to drive around over the ready. This barn will need a lot less work, and you'll see that even inside. It's pretty much ready to use. You can cut it inside. Go inside. And here we are in a small barn. As I mentioned earlier, it's in much better shape than the large barn. Concrete floor on the bottom, and originally we were planning probably using this for our animals and stuff, but we learned through previous owner that these floors are actually heated floors, so that changed our plans slightly. But we see this as a huge potential for down the road, maybe our farm store, having a farm store here up front and selling products that we have. There's some offices that's already divided for. We're not sure yet if we're going to keep them or not. The outside walls are insulated. Previous owner was generous enough to leave the storefront door that we can use for our storefront. That was a great store. Huge, huge door. And under this is part of that too, right? Probably. So there are two levels. So there's the front half of the barn is on one level, and the second half is on another level. There's water over the inside. The toilet is kind of pre-plumbed. Full bathroom here. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. The shower and everything. Huge, huge potential for this. Definitely for a farm, so whatever we decide. And the second half or back of the building is just a big open hangar, basically. Lights are not coming on. But this can be used as a prep area for potentially for our farm store, or maybe even event space for weddings, for anything that comes our way. Both of us love cooking, so definitely something farm to table. It's definitely huge potential having that here. Again, floors are heated here as well. Electricity throughout. There's a couple of, again, storages here with shelves. Office space. One odd thing about it is both of these barns, there's no windows. And we will change that. Kevin and I are big on natural lighting and lights coming in. Even inside the house, we had to change quite a few things with that. Not a large storage here, completely shelved. Could be a dry storage for winter. It's fairly cool here. There's no AC, but it feels great. Actually, it's about probably 70 degrees here right now. It could be a potential dry storage for some goods. Trinity, you like it? Another just empty storage. There's no shelves there. I think it's just a boxed out like office or. Yep, there's no light here. So definitely you can see the potential. We are extremely grateful and excited for the space and having what kind of potential we can do here with this space. There's a weird crawl space up top with about 4 foot height. Yeah, I'm not sure what that was intended for. That low ceiling plywood is going to come handy for our chicken coops and stuff. So that's definitely going to go down. So you can actually stand up there, because right now it's only like 4 or 5 feet tall. Let's take a look at outside and go back to the back of the property and maybe check out the creek area. Let's go, Mama. Come on, Trin. Beauty of both of these barns is that they both come with huge access doors, especially the big barn here on this side. You can practically drive in a dump truck and dump in a gravel or concrete, whatever we need, or take out manure down the road. But for now, let's take a look at the creek area. We're gonna walk through the future orchard. I can definitely see lines of trees, fruit trees. Pears are my favorites. Cherries, I love cherries. They all grow well. Apple trees, peaches. Kevin, what's your favorite? I know pineapple we can't grow here, but we definitely want to see this before we start planting. We want to see how well this area does during the winter. Is there a potential flooding from the creek or anything like that? But so far it looks definitely promising. And down here, previous owner had the go-kart track and left us quite a bit of used car tires that they used for bumpers. But we'll find some other use for them, definitely. There's another little shed here that we see as a potentially pig shed, because this here has a nice access to the water and it's shaded most of the day, and I think pigs will love it. Oh shoot. There we go. It is definitely a pig ready shelter, and most likely next spring we're gonna have some pigs here. Kevin, you ready for pigs?
I'm ready for pigs.
Trinity, are you ready for pigs? So this area here, like I said, is definitely for pigs. Fencing this all in. Creek is right in the back there. We'll walk over there. But fencing this and having pigs here, I think it will definitely work out nicely. Long-term plan for this area, I would love to build a large pond or a lake that stretches, that basically covers all this low grounds here. Fish pond or fish lake, stocking with fish. So we can come out fishing, maybe cut some of these middle trees and keep all these trees on the side here. That area definitely has a beautiful potential for a pond, especially that creek is naturally fed and runs year round. Here's wallow for the pigs. Already there. We just need pigs. It's nice and cool here. Completely shaded. So creek kind of stretches, I don't know how well you can tell, but it goes all the way from the road. It kind of curves. That road that's next to our house, it's all the way back there. It goes underneath the road. It kind of stretches all the way back here. It's a really deep creek. Let's take a look at it. Water levels are not high, but it's quite a bit of a depth. Our property line actually stretches on the other side of the creek. Like I said, creek is fairly big. And we haven't had the rain in a couple days, probably a week or so. I'm definitely looking forward to adding this water to our fish pond and lake. So it just curves around this. Pardon me. And we have about another acre or two of land on that side of the creek. That's mostly woods. So this is all the wooded part that we have. This portion of it kind of curves down towards that big field, pasture field. Yes, thank you, pasture field. That back portion of it, it kind of widens out, and then gives us a huge amount of beautiful mature trees. Eventually, yes, the neighbor will show us. He has, I believe, a big pasture in the back. He raises Black Angus beef. He has about 150 cows that he raises right on the other side of these trees. According to him, we haven't seen him yet, but we're definitely looking forward to even have some cows here potentially. He said he used to bring them here on that big pasture and graze them. So we wouldn't mind that until we get our sheep down the road. So that's in a nutshell our little property, our little 27-acre property. Did I forget anything, Kevin? According to Kevin, we're gonna walk back up there. Okay. Kevin doesn't like mosquitoes. Let's go, Mama. There's quite a bit of mosquitoes here with the shade and all this water access. This video took a while, and for those of you that made it this far, we truly appreciate it. You can definitely, I hope you can see our excitement and how happy we are that we got this property. Potential of it is really truly endless. It's going to take lots of hard work, lots of pacing. We have to pace ourselves down the road. Setting yearly goals is definitely going to be a big thing for us, but I hope you are excited for us as we are. Hope you can follow us along for this journey. You can definitely follow that here on this channel by subscribing to this channel, liking these videos, or follow our journey on our Instagram, which is also Gardening Days, or our Facebook, Gardening Days. Hope to see you there, and thank you for following along.
Speed, give me speed, we have speed.
What? We got a shirt too? So, I don't have to do the tour anymore. He's got it. Trinity, stay away from the chicken.
Come here. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. You gonna chime in?
No, I'm supposed to chime in.
Huh? Everybody, this is
Who are you? Welcome to our first official farm video. Slouching.
Ready?
Pa!
3.
Here we go. Jeez.
Everybody, welcome to your Gardening Gaze first official video here at our farm in King George, Virginia. We're excited to kind of bring you our first outing here, tell you a little bit about how we got here, and show you around. Dragon?
That's not how it See, Trinity, this is what I was afraid of. Right there. Right there.
That's what you call being honest. How was that? That was that intro.
That was amazing, except the part, dragon part, right?
I'm going to say, I'm Kevin, and you'll say, I'm Dragon. You want to get to that?
They already know us. We're introducing them.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right, yeah. Here we go. I should stop and restart.